Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh, man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get a hell yeah!
What is up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today is an Eagles draft mailbag. Guys, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Party on Broad. If you're watching us here on YouTube, please be sure to comment, ask all the questions, talk all the trash, you name it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Joining us today is my man, Rob Lange. He is the voice of the people. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What's good, Rob?
I have a PSA announcement for us Eagles fans. You know, we have spent years ripping the Dallas Cowboys for living off of the past championships, right? Anyone defending Jeffrey Jones, also known as Jeffrey Lurie, and this organization right now, you are treading dangerously in the Dallas Cowboy fan territory now. And you're just living off the past success. There's an issue here, ladies and gentlemen. If you read that article, just be very careful. Don't be ripping Dallas fans right now. We can't do it.
What was it, like week 3, and I had, I think, Shield Kapadia on Party on Broad, and we were just like doing a quarter review of the Eagles season. What was everything that came out of that podcast is we have a Jeffrey Lurie problem. Yep. It was a Jeffrey Lurie problem. And now you read that review, you look at all the flaws of the Eagles. It starts at the top, and we've been beating that drum here at Party on Broad for months. Also joining us is my man, Shane. He is at @halfandhalf_TPL. Go check out all of his Eagles content at thepaintlines.com. How you doing, Shane?
Pretty good. I just want to remind everybody that about 9 months ago, that same Rob that ripped Cowboys fans picked him to go to the Super Bowl. So.
That's a great point.
Hashtag old takes exposed.
Yeah, that one will be exposed for a long time for me.
Yeah. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. You even went on, like, you were with like 3 other divisional podcasts and brought that shit out, man. But come on, you're hurting the brand.
I said it everywhere that someone would listen to me. I look stupid in the end, but that's it.
Hey, I respect a guy that's not going to homer, so I'm all about it.
All right, before we get our Eagles draft mailbag show underway, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Hey, what's up, guys? March Madness is here. The NBA and NHL are both in full swing. Baseball opening day is coming up, while we here at the Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports. We are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup in on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new user deposit match of up to $250. Don't miss out on this opportunity for some free money, baby. All right, business is taken care of. Now let's get this show rolling, baby. Guys, if you're watching us here on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, you name it, please be sure to type in your questions. We'll answer them live. We are breaking down the biggest questions, your questions, heading pre-draft. We're almost 2 weeks away. Christmas Day is nearly 2 weeks away. It is unbelievable. Shane, you're going to ask the questions. Let's go.
All right. So we put out on YouTube and on Twitter asking for questions, and we got some in DMs, some responses from you guys. But so we've got those queued up. But like you said, if you're watching, just drop a comment. We can rapid fire some of your questions live too with as little thought as possible, which is how we like to do things around here sometimes. So question number 1 comes to us via Twitter from @MattTheCat. And it said, is it likely that we see a Zach Ertz trade on draft day? And if so, what is he worth? So, Rob, I'll kick that one to you first. Do you think we see Ertz moved on draft day, and what's the price range?
I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Ertz moved in the next couple of weeks, even before the draft. But, someone, I think it might have been Mike K brought up, I thought an interesting idea is the team that you've seen floated around Zach Ertz the most is the Buffalo Bills, right? They have just about everything on that offense except the tight end position. And they also pick at the end of the first round. So say the Eagles end up going defensive back at 12. And as it's getting near the 30th pick, you have either a Rashad Bateman or you have a Terrence Marshall on the board. I could see the Eagles, so that they don't have to give up more draft capital, taking 37 and Zach Ertz into the first round for the first time ever, shocking us all, to draft one of those wide receivers. I mean, there's been reports that they've talked a lot to Terrence Marshall, like 5 or 6 times have talked to Terrence Marshall. And he would be that kind of opposite to Jalen Reagor type, right? Jalen Reagor is the small, speedy, fast guy. Terrence Marshall fits that other side a little bit better. So I'll say yes, even though every answer I give here is what I want to see happen. I expect the Eagles to do nothing of the sort, honestly. But I'm going to say, yeah, they trade and they get back in the first round. They get a wide receiver.
I swear I thought you were about to say they'd shock us all and trade 37 and Zach Ertz to go take Davis Mills or something.
Jesus, come on. Man.
They may.
All right, Dives, what about you? Do we see Ertz traded on draft day? What's he worth?
I was kind of going down that similar train of thought, Rob. Like I was thinking – I look at the Indianapolis Colts, pick number 54 in the second round. Get Zach Ertz to hang out with his boy Carson Wentz, something like that, like as a sweetener. Whether it's they are trading for that second round pick or to trade up or trade back, who knows? I don't know. But it really boils down to I think it reported that the Eagles are looking for like a 3rd or 4th rounder here, which is crazy. This guy's turning 31 years old this season. He's been dealing with injuries. He missed 5 games last year. So obviously he was a victim of the offense. Everything failed top to bottom about the Eagles offense. Could you squeeze the little life of out of Zach Ertz in some sort of trade value? I like you, Rob, the hope is he's the sweetener in that first, second round that you could either trade up and get a guy like Zaven Collins or Javon Holland or Trevon Moehrig, all those guys that we've talked on this show about ad nauseum. I think the reality is Zach Ertz's value probably lies in day 3 range. That's my take on that. I do think he's moved though. I think Zach Ertz is gone.
See, I come in on the other side. I think Ertz might be gone. I don't think they're going to trade him on draft day, simply because of the June 1st designation. So June 1st designation if you cut or trade guys after June 1st, it only puts the current year portion of their bonus on the dead cap and the rest of it's on next year. If you do it before June 1st, it all hits this year. So the league allows you to make 2 moves before June 1st and designate them as June 1st cuts. The Eagles already did that with Malik Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. So basically, if they move Ertz now, it would cost them $7.8 million in dead cap. If they wait till June 1st, it's only $4.2 million. So for a difference of $3.6 million in dead cap, I think it'd have to be a pretty significant piece for them to make that move. I think you could probably get somewhere in the area of a 4th round pick for Ertz, which is probably the same comp pick you could get in 2023 if you let him play out that contract and walk. I think ultimately they're going to value that pick over the cap space. And so I don't think they're going to value that cap over the wow, I can't talk today. I do not think they will value that pick over the cap space. So I look for him as either a June 1 release, or they may just say, hey, you're running out this final year in Philly so we can get that comp pick for you. But I don't think we probably see him on a draft day deal.
That's how he does, though. Like how he's so good at maneuvering $3 million. So I don't see that as a hurdle. I don't.
Yeah.
The only thing how he's good at maneuvering is what Jeffrey Lurie wants to drink.
I love it. 100% facts. 100% facts. Let's go on to the next question.
Okay, next question. This one came to us on YouTube from Nothing But Sixers, who's not asking a Sixers question, so it might need a new username. But Dives wants to know, do you see the Eagles trading back up to attempt to get Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts?
I do not, man. Absolutely not. Thanks for the question, Nothing But Sixers. This guy is a consistent guy on our channel. Thank you. This guy's the man. From the announcement of the trade from 6 to 12, my gut feeling for the Eagles continues to be defensive back in this draft. I think they very clearly circled their primary need over wide receiver in this draft. It's just my gut feeling that although I do think ultimately is the smart decision moving forward, you look at J.C. Horn, you look at Patrick Surtain, provide immense value at number 12 for the Philadelphia Eagles. These are two outside guys that I think the Eagles would have zero hesitation in bringing in over a guy like Devontae Smith, who probably projects as like Deshaun Jackson, 3 to 4 to 5 catches a game. You're talking about an elite outside cornerback. It's just way more valuable to get a guy, a cornerback like that, where you could probably get a wide receiver in the second round. So I do not see them trading up. There was a time when I was hoping we would get one of those two guys. It was them or bust, literally until this trade happened and went down. But my goodness, I'm sad to say, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, those are my two guys right now on my big board.
What about you, Rob? Do you see us moving back up?
No, there's not a chance in hell Howie Roseman's moving back up. There's just no way. He had his opportunity to do the right thing. He didn't. He backed up, but he did not do the right thing. Okay, because you win in this league, you gotta have some playmakers that are legitimate, bona fide playmakers. You had an ability to do that. You decided you wanted to be the smartest guy in the room and trade back to a non-dummy proof pick when you've proven to be nothing but a dummy in the last X amount of drafts. I have zero. I'm telling you, like I've said, it's Christmas Day in 2 weeks, and it should be. I feel like it's St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 2 weeks. I literally have zero faith in anything this organization does. And if I had an inkling of it, this article that came out in The Athletic just shot that to hell, because they're letting Harvard analytics guys run their drafts rather than scouts. And I don't even know. Like, I will be so astonished if they do something good. I'm fully expecting a defensive end or offensive tackle to be drafted at 12 at this point.
So I was talking to my buddy about what the plan is for the NFL draft today. We're going to be watching it together, eating, drinking, you name it. And we were talking about how excited I am for day 2, and he brought up, well, what about last year's day 2? And it just like I had no response. Like I think I literally blacked that day out of my life because it was such a horrendous day for the Philadelphia Eagles. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there.
And they're about to torpedo that quarterback, right?
Exactly.
Good job, Howie. Way to go, buddy.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. If they wanted Chase or Pitts, they would have stayed at 6. One of those guys would have likely been there. There's a lot of smoke around Chase to Cincinnati. Miami likely wants one of the two, or they probably wouldn't have hopped back up to 6. So I'd be really surprised if either of those guys makes it past the Dolphins at 6. Okay, moving along. Next question. This one's right up your alley, Dibes. It says you could choose one superhero to start at any position for the Eagles. Who is your pick and why?
Is it my turn?
Oh, yeah, you got to lead us off on this one.
Yeah, this has got to be Dibes.
This one's easy for me, and I was so happy that you threw this one out there because I could talk about these kind of questions all day. This is the shit I think about, like when I'm at work and I'm like doing data analysis and writing a functional behavioral assessment on a new kiddo in the back of a class, elementary school. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm thinking about what would the Phillies rotation look like if they were superheroes? Or what if the Eagles offensive line were super? That's the shit I think about. So this was awesome. This one's easy for me. You look at the Eagles the last few years, arguably the most injury-ridden team in the league, period. You look at Carson Wentz, most sacked quarterback. From the start of last season, you saw Doug Peterson throw out how many line combinations, even some that literally they didn't even practice with during the preseason. The Eagles need someone. They need a rock. They need an anchor here, which is the second most important position in the NFL other than quarterback. I'm talking about a left tackle. And the superhero I'm going to throw down is my man Luke Cage. Does anybody know who Luke Cage is?
Nope. I do. Actually.
You do? All right. That's cool.
I've seen bits and pieces of previews of the show.
All right. This Luke, yeah. So Luke Cage had his own TV show on Netflix. This is a guy that has skin as hard as titanium steel. His muscles and bones, skin impenetrable. You cannot injure this guy, period. He would be my guy. I know you could pick some crazy Avenger or some crazy Justice League member, but the guy I'm talking about is literally made of iron and steel. I'm going with Luke Cage as my left tackle and to provide Jalen Hurts with some kind of stability there on the offensive line. Luke Cage is my man. You can't break this guy. He's going to be there for 12-plus years. He's never going to miss a game. He's essentially Brett Favre on the offensive line. Luke Cage all day.
Then he's going to come to Philly and get hurt in his first game like Javon Hargrave. All right, what do you got, Rob? Do you got a superhero for the Eagles?
I purposely did not answer this question right now because I wanted to just see how it went for me. If it was up to Howie Roseman, he would pick Flash because he doesn't need a guy who knows how to catch. He's someone who can run really fast. So that would be Howie's pick. He'd pick the idiot who can't catch but can run really, really fast. So that would be Howie. I'm not even going to be creative with mine. I want a dude that's so angry and pissed off he ain't going to listen to anything that Jeffrey Lurie Harris. I want Wolverine on my defense just beating the shit out of people. It's all I want. I want Wolverine. I don't care if he's at the linebacker position. I don't care if he goes back and plays where our old Wolverine Weapon X used to play in the safety position. But I want a guy who ain't going to take shit from anybody and is just going to go out there and literally try and beat the hell out of everyone. That's all I want.
Rob, you win.
Weapon X 2.0.
Yeah.
You win. 100%. You got it. You beat me.
Eagles underdog says, yeah, Hurts would underthrow the Flash. That's probably accurate. So, I was going to say I'd take the Flash and craft some Wildcat offense, but if that's the Howie move, thanks, Rob. Ruined my answer. So I'll go with – I will go with –
Al Davis was the one that was going to take the Flash. Come on, guys. Al Davis.
It's true.
Howie Roseman is turning into that.
So since Rob ruined my answer, then I guess I'm going to fall back on – I'm just going to take the Hulk and I'm going to stick him at defensive tackle. And we're just going to waste opposing offensive lines.
There you go.
Okay, next question. Rob, you can lead us off here. I don't even know if hold on. I don't even know if I want to let you answer this question, to be honest. But what is your nightmare scenario for the Eagles in the draft? Worst case scenario, what happens?
Howie Roseman gets to make the draft picks. That's my sorry, it's not a nightmare. That's reality. Okay, forgive me. No, my nightmare scenario is that all the receivers and J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain are all gone by the time it gets to the Eagles because at that point, your two primary positions in need are gone. They're not going to draft a linebacker in the first round because they just don't do it. So what does that leave you with? Well, it leaves you with they're going to either draft an offensive or defensive lineman, and I understand games are won in the trenches, but when we look at this draft, and you guys know better than I do, I know there's some guys that maybe could fit there, but right now, you need playmakers on one side of the ball, whether it be the receiver position or that corner position. And my fear is that this trade back takes them out of all those top guys, and we're sitting there at 12 going, oh, shit. You know what I mean? And at that point, look, if I'm on board that I want a receiver first and foremost just because I want that guy that we've never got. But regardless, if they were to take a J.C. Horn or a Patrick Surtain, I'd be totally on board with that. But my worst nightmares, none of them are there, and we're kind of sitting there going, "Oh shit."
What about you, Dives?
We have Eagles underdog saying Vince Papale is a superhero to me. Little shameless plug. I've got a couple of shameless plugs coming. We interviewed Vince Papale probably a year ago, and it was one of the best interviews of my life. Just such a humble, amazing guy. Check that out. We did that. I think, Rob, you were there, right?
Yeah, I was there. It was awesome.
Man, it was awesome. And also shameless plug. I did a recent article for thepaintlines.com on exactly that scenario, Rob, where the nightmare situation where everyone from cornerback, wide receiver are gone. What would the mock draft look like that they could like rescue a successful draft if you're Howie Roseman? So check that out. But this one's also easy for me, guys. Like my main, this actually goes to like my main criticism of the Carson Wentz trade. If you've been following my mock drafts, our mock drafts, we've done like 8 of them by now. I think for me, I've said this over and over and over again. I think day 2 is the strength of this draft. And I see a ton of really quality, good players, clear fits for the Philadelphia Eagles in that day 2 range. You're talking about Jabril Cox. You're talking about Creed Humphrey. You're talking about Dylan Moses, Javon Holland. The list goes on and on and on of guys that I absolutely love. We were talking plug and play guys. Christian Barmore could drop. Those are guys that the Eagles need to inject youth across the board. And I'm terrified. If you look at day 2 last year, where Howie Roseman just punts day 2 and looks at down the road and not next year. That's why I was hoping that Carson Wentz could bring like an extra second round pick for this year, because I am absolutely head over heels beyond in love with what we got in this day 2 range. Whether that's like if Howie picks some sort of like firefighter out in Canada in day 2, I think I would be done. Or we're talking about even trading it for future picks, even though it makes sense. I would be so angry at the Eagles, because you could easily add 2-3 starters in that day 2 range. As much as we want to like get excited about the first round, Friday night is the day that I think the Eagles could add at least 3 starters.
Well, and Dives, you should have, coming out of the first 2 days of this draft, you should have 4 guys that are going to contribute on day 1. Regardless of what you think this team's going to be next year, you need to get 4 guys that can contribute. And if you want to be fair, say 3 of the 4 picks should be the major contributors next year. If not, you failed again.
Yeah, I agree with Eagles underdog here. So if we're talking first round, I'm assuming by 12, 4 quarterbacks are off the board.
Yep.
Slater and Sewell are off the board. 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 corners. I mean, that gets you to 12. And so realistically, like the worst case scenario that should happen is Devonta Smith or J.C. Horn.
Right.
2 guys I'm not real high on. I've got questions about, but still I'd be excited about those. But
yeah,
you never know what the Eagles are thinking. And so my real fear is that they either stand at 12 or they trade back slightly and they take an edge like Kwity Paye, Jalen Phillips, Azeez Ojulari. I mean, the Eagles like to go lineman in the first round. And so I don't think there's a defensive lineman that's deserving of pick 12 or really a pick until about the 20s. And so my fear is that's the target. Now that's first round. Overall, my bad draft scenario would be taking a quarterback too early. Day 2 pick on a quarterback would be stupid. Anything before a 6th or 7th rounder shouldn't be on the table. Adding multiple receivers on day 3. I know people think we need receivers, but we've got a lot of young guys there. Like we need a playmaker. We don't need 3 shots at receiver again. And ignoring linebacker. That would be kind of my nightmare overall draft scenario.
You bring up a great point, Shane. Like, I understand that everyone says, oh, well, there's a lot of receivers you can have later in the draft. We've done that. You need the playmaker. So somewhere in those first 4 picks, in my opinion, you've got to draft a guy that's a playmaker. And there's guys to be had. I just always wanted that SEC wide receiver on the, like, legitimate first-round talent SEC.
All right.
But if you got a guy in the second or the third round that still has a chance to be pretty good, okay. But my God, don't wait till the fifth and then take 3 then.
If you want to go and look at the best fits for the Philadelphia Eagles at number 12, check out we had Mark Schofield on our podcast, and he broke down the best fits, and he literally went into why defensive line would not be an ideal choice for the Philadelphia Eagles. Really good listen. Defensive line was not on the list. What did Rufus say, Shane?
He says, I hope they don't take a wide receiver. Never a fan of that being the prime direction in a draft if you have as many holes as the Eagles have. And I think there's some validity to that. But I would also say if the primary focus of 2021 has to be figuring out what you have in Jalen Hurts. And so I don't think you can eschew receiver entirely. But I think you need to take that one guy. I just don't think there's room on the roster to take 3 or 4 guys like we did last year, because you still got to see what those guys have, especially with the new coaching staff.
And that's my whole point. Some people are saying, well, they're not going to win next year anyway. They have too many holes to fill. I agree. So that first round pick needs to be a playmaker. That's a hole. Like, people are just that's a hole on this roster right now. We don't have, maybe Miles Sanders can be that guy, but we don't know that yet. So if there's a playmaker available to you in round 1 at the wide receiver position, you should jump at that, because you're right. There are too many holes, but you got to start filling them some way. And they have not filled that wide receiver hole, in a very long time.
Major question marks across the board at wide receiver, even though I think we're going to be talking about that a little bit down the line here. Awesome question, Rufus. If you have any more questions, feed us. We'll break it down right now. And I love your Landon Dickerson pick in the second round. We did a video on him. Yeah. Pre-profiled him. Awesome. Love that guy in day 2.
Okay, so moving on. What is your current obsession in your free time? Rob, what are you obsessed with in your free time right now?
I don't really have much free time these days. I'm working 2 jobs to go into grad school, so there's really not a lot. Actually, my second job right now is my obsession.
Cool.
And I recently reactivated my real estate license, and I'm like, it's honestly becoming like a sport to me. Like, when negotiations pop up, I'm like, yo, let's go after this shit right now. And I get so into it, man. So technically it's not free time because it is a job, but it's new to me. And I'm loving every minute. I spent my entire Easter break last week working with real estate. I didn't take a break. I went out and worked. So I'll give real estate the nod on this one.
Cool. All right. I like it. What about you, Dibes?
I mean, other than destroying Rob Lange in movie drafts, am I right, Rob?
No, I quit.
It is well established that you cheat in every draft you've ever been in.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. In the very little spare time that I have outside of hanging out with my daughter, my wife, my dog, I'm a huge nerd. Everyone knows. I literally just got off a podcast and did this, talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So,
wow, what a great episode.
Right? Right? Oh, man. Yeah. But everything from horror movies to Disney to Pixar. I have another podcast called The Suit Up Geeks, where I just as much as I love doing Sixers post games on this channel, I literally put out 3 videos on the Sixers today. As much as I love doing Eagles, NFL draft, and NBA draft content, my favorite moment of the week is waking up at 4 a.m. on Fridays and reviewing Falcon and the Winter Soldier and putting that out. That is so in my veins. DC Comics, Marvel, Star Wars, that runs through my veins. So as much as I love this, guys, sorry, my heart and soul belongs to that. I just love it to death. That is me.
Badass Falcon and the Winter what?
Oh my God, man. Watch The Dark Knight, you coward.
Well, I gotta tell you, guys, the end of that last episode was one of those moments where I was like, holy shit, Marvel just went hard.
Yeah.
Things so serious so fast.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything because obviously Matt's never going to watch it. Anyway, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I've been writing reviews on it every single week. We review it every single week. We do podcasts on it, 2-3, not that show, but Marvel, DC comic podcast, Star Wars podcast, like 2-3 times a week. That is I love it to death, man. I've got books, I've got novels, I've got comics, I've got it all.
Awesome. I'm a teacher, so we're doing state testing right now. So the short answer is I don't have any free time. But the slightly longer answer is I've gotten obsessed with Age of Empires 2 lately. Like, it's so crazy to me. Like, I grew up playing that game 20 years ago with my dad. And it's crazy to me that now, like, I rediscovered like a month ago, like there's a competitive scene for this game. Like, I was watching this big tournament stream. And so it's been crazy to me to go and like start watching YouTube videos and stuff about like how to play this game competitively that I used to play all the time and be good at and haven't touched in like 15, 20 years. So I've been getting big into that. I just ventured online last week and I'm like 1-2. So it's not going so well so far, but I'm having a blast. Having a blast.
Awesome game. All timer.
Yeah, we need to, and we're gonna set up a TPL tournament sometime after I get this all down so I can smash you guys.
As long as I can get the Corvette, I have to have at least one Corvette.
Okay. Moving along. So next question is power rank the stages of the NFL year. So we have training camp, preseason, regular season, playoffs, combine/pro days, and the draft.
Jesus.
So you got to power rank them. What do you got, Rob?
I got to pull these up. I'm looking at my computer here. Hang on. All right. I'll go playoffs 1. Oh, Jesus. I really didn't think about this one. Playoffs 1, regular season 2, draft 3, training camp 4, combo pro days 5. Nobody likes the preseason.
I love it.
What about you, Dibes? What do you got?
Yeah, 100%. Preseason is my last one. The preseason exists for just wanting it to be over and no injuries. Am I right? Like that's the purpose.
Oh yeah.
Next, number 5. That's number 6. Number 5, I have training camp. For me, it's like essentially mini camp, training camp. Those are tied together because I'm excited to hear what the writers and the people there have to say about the rooks and the sophomores. Just kind of seeing how they are developing, how they look. Number 4, I've got the playoffs. Based on Eagles' recency bias, the product has been terrible. And every single season these last 2 years, I just turn it off. I am so burnt out, and I'm out. I am completely out on the NFL playoffs. Yeah, it's I can't handle it. I get so emotional and attached to this. This is the only sport like basketball, Sixers, Phillies. I can remain objective when it comes to Eagles. Like last season killed me, guys. As you know, it killed me. That took years. When we're doing pregame shows, we're doing previews every week. We're doing reviews and reactions. That took years off my life. I've got 3 free agency. I'm adding free agency into this thing. I love the level of optimism it brings. Number 2, I got the regular season. How do you beat opening kickoff? Just a monumental day of the year. And then number 1 is the NFL draft. Nothing beats the anticipation of the NFL draft period.
Wait a minute. You said playoffs was low on your list because of recency bias with the Eagles. How the hell can the draft be high on your list if you have recency bias with the Eagles?
Because I'm a degenerate, Rob. I'm a degenerate where it doesn't even matter. Like player development runs in like the soul of my body. Like it's not just the Eagles. It's everything that comes with it, from watching these guys in college, where they came from in high school, the anticipation of it, like who's going to be selected. It's all of that stuff, man. It's more than just the Eagles.
Have you ordered your Justin Jefferson jersey yet for losing our bet? Your Minnesota Vikings Justin Jefferson jersey that I believe you need to own. I just think that I needed to throw that back out there, as he broke like Randy Moss records and such.
this seems like a good place to roll our video with our promo code for BetterHelp.com.
All right,
if this season goes like last season, we need to definitely work on a sponsorship with them. We could funnel in a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Rufus said, not to change the subject, but I keep looking at our O-line and it scares me. For as good as they can be, they're old with no real future hope. What do you guys think about that? How do you feel about the O-line moving forward?
I mean, it's a major question mark. Jordan Mailata, Andre Dillard. There are major question marks in play. You got Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks coming from injury. You've got a lot of question marks. I think you're good at guard moving forward, but I think you got to find a replacement for Jason Kelce. That is a major priority for probably day 2. You said Landon Dickerson. There's a lot of good players like Creed Humphrey that could be potentially moving into that center position that could take a year to understudy under Jason Kelce. That is a major area of need. And you look at how Carson Wentz was beat up on a weekly basis. You look at trying to give Jalen Hurts a fair shake. It is not out of the question like Rashawn Slater for the Eagles there at number 12. That is 100% on the board. We talked about this during our Big Board podcast. Rashawn Slater gives you that versatility. He can play guard. He can play in the interior. He can play on the outside. So he gives you that protection that you absolutely need. You look at how the offensive line has been decimated by injuries over the last several years. Having a guy like Rashawn Slater, he's not Penei Sewell, who's an outside guy, your franchise outside guy. Rashawn Slater is a guy that can plug and play, go wherever you want to put him in. And there's something to be said about having a guy like that, right?
I won't be terribly concerned about the Eagles' offensive line as long as Stoutland's the offensive line coach and as long as the Eagles continue to invest day 3 picks into the line. I mean, you see what he did with Jordan Mailata over the last couple of years. You've got Isaac Seumalo, who I'm going to talk about later in a different question. You definitely need the replacement at center. Driscoll looked good at both right tackle and right guard as a rookie last year. So, I mean, I worry more about the short-term success of the offensive line with Brooks coming off of injury, with Lane coming off of injury, than I really do about the long-term. As long as Stoutland's there and as long as the Eagles continue to prioritize the offensive line, I'm not terribly concerned about it personally.
One of the bright spots of last year.
And I'll kind of say the same thing. I think you can get the help you need at that position, day 2, day 3. Mm-hmm. Look, I understand that people love Slater. I don't trust the Eagles drafted offensive lineman in the first round. The last good one. I mean, Lane was the last good one. Like literally, you drafted Dillard. Meh. Danny Watkins ring a bell. I mean, there are more misses on the offensive line for this team in the first round. Like there's guys to be had later. Take a skill position in the first round for the love of Jesus. Take a skill position.
You have to.
And along those lines, what is the one position that the Eagles have consistently developed well over the years? It's offensive line. And so I will not be upset if they took Slater in the first round. I do think that's the one position they can get away with doing less. You can get a guy later and you can give him to Stoutland and say, here. And I've got confidence that Stoutland's going to be able to work with him and get him to a playable level. So I'm never going to be upset about investing into the offensive line, but I just think the Eagles can do more with less there. And it's a pretty deep offensive line class too. There's a lot of guys that are going to start that are going to be taken in the second and third round on the offensive line.
We have Eagles Underdog saying, what trades – let's quickly touch on this. What trades do you see Howie making in this draft? Anybody, any thoughts on that before I give mine?
He'll move around those middle to late rounds. I mean, he'll move around. He's going to try and get more draft capital for next year because, as me and our boy Chris Malley said, everyone thinks, oh, look at him. He's trying to set the – no, Howie's saving his own ass. Howie knows that more capital he has next year, he could go to Jeffrey and say, Jeff, come on, man, I got all these picks to work with next year. You're going to see him move around middle to late. It's all conspiracy theories now with that front office. I believe nothing other than the conspiracy theories of that.
I think if the Eagles are targeting an edge, I think you could see him move back again in the first round, because I think you're going to get to 12, and I don't think there'll be a non-cornerback defensive player off the board yet. And so if that's their target, I think they can look there and say, like, hey, look, Pay's on the board, Ojulari's on the board, Phillips is on the board. Like, we could move back a little bit. So I think you could maybe see – I'm not counting on that. I think you could see it. Traditionally, though, Howie has moved around a lot on day 3. Trading picks for players. You know, we got Marquise Goodwin last year in the draft, swapping picks back and forth. And so the Eagles are one of the more active day 3 trading teams, and I would expect that to continue, especially given the number of picks that they have. You know, if there's a guy you like, once you get to day 3, it's just what teams prioritize. Like, it's not like I'm going to take a guy in the 4th round and everybody's going to be like, oh, he was a 7th round value. Like, it's just they're a day 3 guy. And so you might see, hey, there's this guy we like. They might move up to go grab him in the 4th or the 5th round. So that's the kind of thing I think you're most likely to see.
We have Rufus saying, I'm scared he's going to trade and go back up in the 1st. No early trades 1st or 2nd round. I fully agree, Shane. If you're going to get an edge guy, you got to trade down. If you're going to get a linebacker, you've got to trade down and hope to get some sort of assets for day 2. I do think it's definitely potential, but I to trade back a little bit. But I do like the guys there at the end of the 1st round, Zaven Collins, Trevin Morig. There's a lot of guys there that really fit plug-and-play guys for the Eagles. So I don't think it's completely off the board. I'm worried that Howie's going to sell the farm to make that kind of deal. But I think quality is more important than quantity in this draft. The Eagles 100% have to bring in at least 3 to 4 starters in this draft. If Howie doesn't do that, he's gone. He is absolutely 100% gone. And for me, moving up in the draft, whether we're talking about day 2, day 3, I'm talking about going from like round 3 to round 2, round 4 to round 3, round 6 to round 5. There's a lot of really talented guys that we've gone on during our mock drafts for the Philadelphia Eagles. Great fits. Dylan Moses, Chaz Surratt. The list goes on and on. Jabril Cox. There are really good guys that the Eagles don't have. They don't have a guy that can drop in coverage at linebacker. They have guys like that in this draft. That's what I'm talking about. I want to see a lot of trades up in this draft and solidify plug-and-play starters.
I can get on board with it. Okay, moving along. Dibes, will let you go first here. What is the maddest that you've ever gotten about something football related? Because I already know what Rob's going to say, so I'm going to let you answer first.
It's got to be everything going on right freaking now. This might be my recency bias showing, but the Jalen Hurts selection continues to haunt my freaking soul. In a draft where the Eagles had so many holes, just like this one, it was just about the biggest bonehead move you could absolutely make. You have Doug Peterson getting run out of town after knowing everything you know now. You have an entire coaching staff being removed, yet the biggest problem of the Philadelphia Eagles remains he sits in his high chair in NovaCare with zero accountability, and then we now have the report that Howie Roseman was telling Doug who was available. This was last season. Who was available, who was not available, season in, week out. And now you have the Eagles scouting department being in complete shambles. How do you not say it's right now? The Eagles are a completely flawed organization led by Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. Right now, there's no other way around it. The worst the Eagles franchise has been over the last decade is right now.
Rob, do you just want to second that, or do you have something else?
Well, look, it's very easy to second it right now. I mean, it started with the abomination of a season. It carried over to Doug being let go, but not Howie, to Carson being traded, to trying to torpedo Jalen Hurts after trading Carson. I mean, you name it, it's all bad. But if I'm going to pick, like, if I think of one game where I was, like, livid after it, it was the NFC Championship against the Carolina Panthers. And I can remember leaving the stadium by myself and just being so unbelievably aggravated for the 3rd year in a row We make it to that freaking point, and it was another year where we lost to a team that the Eagles were better than. The Eagles were better, but I remember being pissed because of a late hit that tore up Donovan McNabb, and that Deshaun Foster running over Mark friggin' Semino. Like, these plays stick in my mind. It's been how many years? So if I'm going to go to a game where I was just livid, it's going to be that NFC Championship game where I walked out of there pissed the hell off.
So for me, mine doesn't have anything to do with the Eagles. But I'm from Oklahoma, and I was a diehard OU fan before I was a diehard Eagles fan. And so I remember being a kid, watching Oklahoma on Saturdays. And in 2006, Oklahoma got some preseason hype. They were a top 5 team, and they went to go play Oregon on the road in the 3rd game of the year. Lead by 13 late in the game, and Oregon scores a touchdown with like a minute and change left. So, of course, they call an onside kick, and there's a big pile up on the ball, and the officials ruled that Oregon recovered. So they go to review it, and on review, 2 things were clear. It was clear that an OU player comes out of the back of the pile with the ball and runs to the official and gave it to him. It was also clear that Oregon touched the ball 2 yards early, and they ruled it was Oregon's ball anyways, a decision that ESPN live on air called a clear and obvious mistake. Oregon scored a touchdown and they won the game, which basically ended, this is pre-college football playoff, a loss which you're done. It ends their pursuit of a national title before they even got to conference play. And I'll never forget, it was a Pac-10 team, Pac-10 crew at a Pac-10 site. The Pac-10 was the only conference at the time that didn't let other crews work non-conference games at Pac-10 sites, which was the norm for everybody else. So it was like a week later, OU announced they were removing all Pac-10 away games from their schedule, and they canceled games against Washington State and USC over the next 3 years. It was a huge deal. And I just remember being so unbelievably pissed off that that game was essentially handed to Oregon.
I have one I want to throw in. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how about last year in the 2nd round when Jalen Hurts' selection? I mean, my anger for days after that was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
I have one. Since you're going college, I'm going to go college. I am a Temple guy. I went to Temple. I wear Temple on my heart, my sleeve. Like that is another sport where I'm so emotionally tied. I cannot be objective when it comes to Temple sports. I went to Temple when they were terrible, absolutely terrible at football. And, here's me, like I'm this young kid in college. I'm like head of the Cherry and White Club. I'm like front row, basketball, football, you name it. And I think we were still in the Big East back then. And that was the year we faced Virginia Tech versus Temple. Marcus Vick was their quarterback. Ooh. And they were number 5 in the nation. And as bad as Temple was at that time, we took them to triple overtime on national stage. And you know how we lost? It was a missed PAT. We lost with a missed PAT in triple overtime. And that was the most rage moment I've ever had in my life. And I'm a pretty laid back kind of guy. And long story short, we were heading out to the car, not the car, but heading back to the train to head back to school. And we ran into some Virginia Tech fans, and they were heading out, and they gave us like 3 cases of like Natty Light beer, and we were just so happy, and we just chilled with some Virginia Tech fans and got shitty. So that was fun.
You guys remember years ago, the Eagles are down in Tampa. They're losing the whole game. Westbrook scores with like 30 seconds left to give them the lead. Jerome McDougal kicks the flag to get a 15-yard penalty with 2 seconds left, setting up Matt Bryant for a 62-yard field goal. I was in the stadium. They ran out of water. It was so hot. It was 130 degrees. We sat through a terrible football game. The Eagles take the lead and then lose on a 62-yard field goal because Jerome frickin' McDougal kicked the damn flag on a holding penalty. I have one. No, I want to go one more.
Me and my boy Coyle, you know Coyle, right? We went to Buffalo for the Eagles Bills game, and that was the same weekend. This was the same freaking weekend. The Phillies lost to the Cardinals like 1-0, and that was the Four Horsemen. That was the year they were supposed to just run the table. The Phillies lost the playoffs. That was a Friday night. Saturday, we did nothing. We like laid in our hotel bed, just literally depressed. Sunday came against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Do you remember that game, right, Rob? You know what happened?
Right.
Offsides by Jukeway freaking Parker with a minute left, and the Eagles lost the game.
That might be Reese's angriest moment as an announcer. I remember I was fixing up my house at the time, and I can remember listening to Maurice go, "Oh my God, he jumped offside!"
like you're talking about like a double whammy. Like that was the most depressed drive. That was also with Coyle. Like that was the most depressed drive home from Buffalo. Like we literally went like 3 hours without talking. It was like that was it. Like that we were just so down and out. That's right up there.
So I got to say your Virginia Tech Temple story leads perfectly into another question we got. So last season Jake Elliott had a rough year. I don't know if you guys know that. Missed 2 extra points, field goals from 22, 29, 52, 53, and 57 yards this year. Given one chance at each kick, how many could you make? Rob says 0. Rob's got the goose egg.
I can't kick a football. That thing will go every which way but straight. Every which way but straight. I have no chance.
All right.
I'm 0. I'm actually pretty athletic when it comes to like hand-eye coordination. I played ball my whole life, basketball, baseball. I was a pitcher in college. But man, like when it comes to like foot-eye coordination, I suck, man. There's a reason why I don't play those sports. Maybe I could hit a 22-yarder. That's a major if. That's a major if.
All right. I respect it. I think I could hit some of them. All right. I couldn't hit all like 50-yarders are out of the question. Not even I couldn't even get that to the end zone. But extra points are 33 yards now. Like I think that's within the realm of possibility if I hit it good. So like if I'm not walking out cold, like if I can warm up and kick some balls first, like I think I could hit 3 of the 4 shorter ones. Like I'm pretty confident I could hit 2 of 4 because I might shank one of them. But like I think 33 yards would be within my range. So that question's got me thinking. Now I want to go to the football field. It's like a block from my house, and I want to go try it out. But maybe I'll video it, and we can throw it on the TPL YouTube channel later.
There you go.
Okay, David Akers.
Okay, let's keep going here. Okay, so the foil to the most angry you've ever been. What's the most epic sports moment you've ever witnessed in person? Got to be in person.
I don't have to go first.
I mean, once again, it's like it's so cliche, but I was at both NFC championships that the Eagles won. So back in 2004 against Atlanta, which was, and they both were epic in their own right? Like that one was epic. I was an 18, 19-year-old kid. 04. Yeah. So I was like 20, and that's coming off the heels of losing 3 in a row. And just that get over the hump. Like I can remember being in that stadium filled with so much emotion because it was like I had sat there for 3 straight years at NFC championship games waiting for that moment to celebrate. And it was Chad Lewis's touchdown where he breaks the foot that sealed the game. And Brian Dawkins picking up the pylon and I mean, it was just a great moment. And then obviously, probably more because it just came out of nowhere in 2017, was that NFC I mean, it was one thing to get there. And you're like, oh, my God, the injury, everything. But then to win it the way they did, to be in the third quarter of that game, looking at my cousins and going, holy shit, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like it was just, and because it's in person, obviously I wasn't in person at the Super Bowl, but those 2 moments to be in those stadiums at that point were things that I'll never forget, ever.
We have Rufus saying B-Doc hitting Mike Vick live in 04 was insane.
Yeah.
Don't forget Algie Crumpler. Don't forget
Crumpler. Yeah.
My goodness. Talk about grown man cried. That was
Algie Crumpler cried.
When I broke down for that was the final speech when they're celebrating and Brian Dawkins is holding he's talking in an interview and he's like, give the defense some respect. Like that was just all time moment for me. That's a great one. I regretfully have to admit I haven't been to many memorable games in my lifetime. So I'm going to go a little bit off the cuff here. And it's not exactly sports. It kind of is. It's kind of not. But it's hands down probably the greatest night of my life.
He's about to say what he saw in game or something.
No. For me, it's without question the 2016 NBA Draft Lottery Party at Xfinity Live. That was the lottery night when the Sixers won the number 1 overall pick. So for a lot of degenerates like myself, this was a culmination of like 4 years of meeting people, and we actually went to the events and hung out with people, and we hung out with all these people at the 2016 NBA Draft Lottery Party. The Sixers got the number 1 pick. It was absolutely perfect. Not my credit card wise, because I think I paid for everyone's drinks and it was like a $500 tab. It was just that was the night of like Dirty Shirley's and all that fun stuff, if you guys remember that. I also want to throw in an awesome night. I'll say a really fun night for me. Talk about epic. We weren't at the game, but we were at the tailgating party for the Eagles versus Falcons the year they won the Super Bowl. What was memorable about that night was the Eagles. That stadium was showing the Killers. We had tickets to see the Killers. It's one of my favorite bands. And we saw the Killers in Philly across the street. So what did we do? We're so stupid. It was like the coldest day of the year. It was like negative 20 degrees. And we tailgated for the Eagles game and then went to the concert. And you know how that game progressed. It was wild. The Eagles won last second with Julio Jones missing it through his hands. And that was literally the start of the concert. And that was just an epic day. We're talking about literally starting from 7 a.m. to probably like 1 a.m. That was a great day.
For me, I've never been to an Eagles game.
What?
I have been. I had never been. I've only been to one NFL game. I went to a Rams 49ers game the year after the 49ers went to the Super Bowl when the Rams were still in St. Louis. That game sucked. But the most epic game I've been to was 2015. I went to watch OU play TCU. It's the last game of the regular season for OU. They lost to Texas early in the year, so it dropped them in the rankings, but they were up to number 7 again. And so if they won, they would play Oklahoma State, who was number 4 in the Big 12 title game, and likely go to the college football playoff if they won. So OU's cruising. They're up 30-13, and then Baker Mayfield leaves the game in the third quarter with a head injury. So Trevor Knight, the backup quarterback, comes in. He's absolutely terrible. He completes 5 out of 16 passes with an interception, and the 6 drives he led all ended in a punt or a turnover, and TCU storms back. Score a touchdown to make it 30-29 with under a minute to play, and for some reason I still can't explain, they decide to go for 2 instead of taking it to overtime. So I'm sitting 3 rows off of the field, 2 yards deep in the end zone. And they run a passing play. The quarterback breaks pocket, and he rolls towards my side of the field. So I can see right in front of me. Quarterback's rolling out. There's a corner, and he's covering the receiver, and that's it. He's in no man's land. So he charges the quarterback. Guy throws the ball. The defensive back runs, and he slapped it down. Game's over. I mean, we had to recover an onside kick and kneel it, but the game is over. And it happened like literally I could have almost reached out and touched the guys. So OU goes. They go to the Big 12 title game. They blow out Oklahoma State, won by like 40. Make it to the college football playoff, and that's where we're going to stop the story because nothing after that matters. It especially doesn't matter that they lost to Clemson by like 30 in the first round of the playoff.
Rufus here says, being live on Broad Street, listening to Jason Kelsey's speech is up there. I was literally at the Art Museum, front row, for that from 4 a.m. and on. One of the best days of my life. I wrote a poem about it. I wrote a poem.
Nice. I would have loved to have been there.
The parade was awesome. We weren't at the art museum. We were just along the route on Broad Street, but just hanging out there, and the whole thing was just an amazing day. Amazing.
You want to hear a funny story about that? All right, a funny story about that was it was so tight, like you couldn't leave. It was so packed and tight, you could not leave. You leave, you lost your spot. That's how it was. Yep. And there's like underage people smoking and drinking, and everyone's dancing because it's cold as balls. They actually had a DJ playing music, which was fun. But there was a point where there was someone like across probably about 10 feet from us, literally dropped their drawers and took a shit right on the pavement. And it was on an angle and a decline, and it started rolling, and everyone started to just like push. It was like a massive like a riot, like a push to get. It was the most like ridiculous thing I've ever been a part of. That was part of the parade.
Those stories don't help Philly's reputation nationally. I'm just saying.
No,
it's 100% true. 100% true.
Matthew said attending the NFL draft in Philly was one of the greatest nights of my life.
I wasn't there.
That was a super awesome night. I went to the first night of the draft. It was very similar to parade in the sense that once you got your spot, you couldn't move, and we weren't even that close to the stage. But if you moved, you were out. But what was so cool about that was the year started at the Art Museum steps, and they went on to win the Super Bowl that year, and ended at the Art Museum steps.
That's cool. I didn't even think of that.
So it was, pretty cool how that whole thing went down.
Poetic.
All right, so we got 2 left. You guys got time?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so here we go. Imagine you're an NFL prospect with your current build/athleticism. What position would you play, and what is the scouting report on you? Lead us off, Rob.
Wait. All right, let's put this out there again. Put this question out there again. I got to think about it.
You're an NFL prospect with your current build and athleticism. What position would you play, and what's the scouting report on you?
All right. So the scouting report is this kid has a lot of heart. and that's it. He's lazy. He's slow. He gets aches and pains every step he makes anymore. I would have to be somewhere probably on an offensive or defensive line where I'm never alone in space, where I have help. And I'm going to have to say I'm a rotational defensive tackle.
You need between Fletcher Cox and Aaron Donald. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And the only reason I say that is because it's the one spot where I could be a rotational player and not have to be on the field every play. I am not in what I would call my best fighting shape of my life right now. So I'll go rotational defensive tackle. The kid's got a lot of heart. He's going to play as hard as he possibly can. It's just a shame that it's not going to be a lot.
Not much upside, though. Not much upside.
No,
he's a low ceiling, low floor player.
Yeah. If you need one of them.
What about you, Dibes? What do you got?
I'm 5'10", 160. I'm not the fastest. I'm kind of smart. I see things before they happen. So I think nickel slot corner is my best fit here as a draft prospect. I think my positives on my scouting profile. I can help the team in a lot of different ways. I can be a leader off the field. I could also be a leader off the field. And I love to cook. And I can provide a mean pre- and post-game meal for a lot of my teammates. And lastly, I could be a leader off the field.
All right. I like it. So for me, 5'7", 155 pounds, there's literally not an NFL position I could play. Like Tariq Cohen, I think, is the smallest guy in the league at 5'6", and he's still got 25 pounds on me and runs a 4.40. So I thought about it as I could be like an extra point specialist. I couldn't be a kicker. Maybe I could kick your extra points or be a punter if you go for it a lot, but that's not fun. So I wrote a scouting blurb for myself as a corner. So here we go.
Okay.
It says Shane possesses a high football IQ that allows him to quickly recognize passing concepts. Lacking ideal athleticism to mirror and man coverage, he is a best scheme fit for an off-zone coverage team. Though his recognition is good, his lack of foot speed often causes him to be late to landmarks in zone coverage, and his ability to click and close is negatively impacted by a lack of first-step explosiveness. Woefully inadequate as a tackler, Shane has almost no upside and is likely to be bagging groceries before completing his rookie contract, but his sense of humor will be a welcome addition in the locker room.
Well,
So
the good news about all that is Howie Roseman's got a second-round grade on him.
I'm pretty sure Shane just copied and pasted Sidney Jones's prospect profile and just put his name with it.
You will be drafted by Howie Roseman.
All right, so last question. We'll bring it back to the Eagles here. It's a two-part question, so we can do it one piece at a time, or you can do the whole thing however you want to do it. What current Eagle are you higher on than most fans, and what Eagle are you lower on than most fans? So let's go lower first so we can end on a high note. So, Dibes, what current Eagle are you lower on than most Eagles fans?
For me, it's Alex Singleton. I think he showed some flashes last year. I think a huge portion of that's directly correlated to how inept and how terrible that position was. I'm all for Alex Singleton making the roster this year. 100%, absolutely, without a doubt, have to upgrade from Alex Singleton in the linebacker spot. So inside and out. So Alex Singleton's my guy.
What about you, Rob?
I'd say Jalen Reagor, but I don't want Dives to kill me. So
That's the guy he's higher on than everybody.
Yeah. Now, I tell you what, if I had to pick a guy, and it's Miles Sanders, and it's not because I don't think he has the skills to be really good. It's we haven't seen enough yet from him. B, the drops last year were a concern, but I got to tell you, his mentality is bad if you ask me. I don't like his mentality. I don't like the way he answers certain things. I don't like, there's something about Miles Sanders who I happen to like. I think he can be very good, but I'm not as high. Like people are going, oh, well, we're fine. We have Miles Sanders as our back. Like I'm sitting here going, nah, I'd like you to draft another running back kind of high. You know what I mean? Not because to me, I don't know if Miles is a 3-down back. I don't know it. I haven't seen it. I did not like the drops last year. That was a concern to me. I didn't like it. Seemed like he was a pouty son of a bitch at times. I mean, I get last year was a tough year, but, so where I'm not like I hate Miles Sanders, I do like him. I'd have to say I'm probably lower on him than most are.
Yeah, that's my guy too. It's not that I think he's a bad running back. I think he's a perfectly capable guy in a committee. I think he's got breakaway potential, but I think a lot of Eagles fans have built him up to legendary status in their head, partially because he has explosive plays, partially because we didn't run the ball much. And so people are like, man, if you just gave the ball to Miles Sanders, we'd win more games. But I mean, when you really look at it, he gives nothing in the passing game. He was number 2 in drops at running back last year. He was 45th in breakaway run rate. He had one of the highest times behind the line of scrimmage in the NFL. He does not get north and south. Next Gen Stats had him as one of the least efficient runners in the league, and that's despite facing one of the highest amount of light boxes last year. I've said before on mock drafts, Miles Sanders is the type of guy that loses a yard, gets a yard, 1 yard, tackled at the line of scrimmage, and then he breaks off a 40-yard run. And the 40-yard runs are great. They make a good highlight reel, but you got to be able to consistently move the ball between the tackles. And that's not something that I've seen as a specialty of his so far. I'm with you. I'd like to see him get another back. I think he's good, but I don't think he is as good as a lot of people think he is.
And I think what has happened is a lot of people have looked at Miles Sanders and said, wow, he was just behind Saquon Barkley. That's why he couldn't shine. So they almost in their head subconsciously put him on an even playing field with Saquon Barkley, and he's not. You know what I mean? That's just not who he is. And,
And that's not a bad thing either. I mean,
No,
Saquon's the best running back in the league, but
yeah, exactly.
But you're right. I think people do that. I think they do that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, Dibes, who's the guy you're higher on than everybody else? And if you say Greg Ward, I'm going to punch you in the face through this screen.
Damn it, Shane. No, it's it's 100% Jalen Reagor. I've been a fan of his from day one. I'm really excited to see what Nick Sirianni and his offense can do for this guy. Last year was tough, man. It was a really tough year for Jalen Reagor. I think he was thrown into an impossible situation. You talk about Carson Wentz, among the worst in the NFL last year. You're talking about a joking offensive line that was injury-ridden from the jump. You're talking about an offensive line where Doug Peterson's throwing in guys that didn't even play during the preseason together. So it was just a clusterfuck of issues. And we're not even talking about Doug Peterson's play calling and his literally had no idea how to get this guy the ball in space or use him in that offense, if you want to call that, because it wasn't an offense. I think it's going to be a huge year for Jalen Reagor. I really do. West Coast offense. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if you see him somewhere around that 700 range, 700 yards range, 4 to 5 touchdowns, 200 yards on the ground. I think it's going to be a really big year. A Deebo Samuel in 2019 type of year for Jalen Reagor. I think that's a very fair comparison. Jalen Reagor is my guy. I am not among the crowd that is ready to throw him out the window. He's younger than a lot of these wide receivers. He's younger than Devontae Smith. I think he's younger than Jalen Waddle. He came into the league needing to learn route running. He didn't have the great route tree in college at TCU. Shortened off season. It was just a mess. It was a complete mess. He was playing the numbers game with Alshon Jeffrey, getting all these snaps, and then Travis Fulgham, and then it was just a hot mess from top to bottom for Jalen Reagor. I think this is going to be the true rookie year for Jalen Reagor in 2021.
What about you, Rob?
It's going to be really adorable in 2027 when Dibes goes, this is really the rookie year for Jalen Reagor, guys. I'm alive. I'm just messing with you. I don't even – I tell you what, I'm going to go a little out of the box here, and I'm not going to choose a player. I am strangely – and I'm not saying that I think
against the rules, but okay. Go ahead.
Oh, it has to be a player?
No, just go ahead.
I'm going to say Nick Sirianni. Right. And here's why, right? Like, I understand that he was a guy that no one, including myself, thought about. We all said, who the hell is this guy? But what I like about him is he's a football lifer. You know, this is a guy that has been around the game, coach's son, all that kind of stuff. And when he talks about the game, a lot of people think it's like fake. I think he is that excited talking football. And I kind of like this idea. I can't believe I'm set. But this younger coaching staff, like, you're going to look at the sideline this year, and there's going to be a lot more fire on the sideline from all these guys, Sirianni, Gannon. You know, there's just something about that I like the idea of. And I think that Sirianni has a chance to be decent. Now, the big if there is this Howie leave him the hell alone. And he probably won't. But I think as a football coach, I think Nick Sirianni, I'm a little higher on him, I think, than most of our fan base is.
I think you're going to see a more buy-in from the players with Nick Sirianni because that was completely fractured under Doug Peterson last year. You can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've got two guys, one on each side of the ball. On offense, it's Isaac Seumalo. I think Seumalo is a lot better player than a lot of people give it. And I don't think he's like Brandon Brooks level. I don't think he's like a Pro Bowl type player, but offensive linemen get noticed when they screw up, and when they play well, they don't. Unless it's like Jason Kelsey stiff-arming a guy running 20 yards downfield, because that makes highlight reels. But I feel like Eagles fans, they remember Seumalo getting benched against the Chiefs in 2016. I think it was 2016. they remember the game he got abused by Grady Jarrett, the Falcons game. And those were 2 terrible games. And to be honest, it seems like Seumalo has like just one terrible game a year. And outside of that, he's a solid football player. And so I think he gets a lot of hate that's unwarranted. I think he is a solid replacement level to above average starter in the NFL. And I think he's going to be a starter for the Eagles for a long time. On the defensive side of the ball, the guy is Avante Maddox. Now, people are done with Maddox, and I get it. I get how awful he's looked, but it's not his fault. Like, Avante Maddox did not go knock on the coach's door and say, hey, I'd like to go play outside cornerback at 5'9" with my 29-inch T-Rex arms. Like, that wasn't his call. Avante Maddox is a slot cornerback. Avante Maddox had never played free safety before. In his rookie season, he was asked as a day 3 draft pick to play free safety because of injuries, and he did really well. I want to see Maddox back in that free safety to third safety to slot role because I think he can be good in that role. He's never going to be an outside corner. It's malpractice to even ask him to be an outside corner. But I really do think if we can get a J.C. Horn, a Paulson Adebo, an Elijah Molden type of guy on the outside opposite Darius Slay, and we can let Avante Maddox be in the slot and for once just like spend an entire season at one position, I think Eagles fans will like what they're going to see from him. I'm not out on him yet.
Mm-hmm.
Rufus says lower Jalen Hurts. Just another shameless plug. We had Mark Schofield, who's like one of the best quarterback gurus out there. And we broke down Jalen Hurts and expectations and what he thinks he can be at, moving forward as a starter. Definitely check that out. Derek Barnett, higher? Ooh.
Listen, yeah, what does anyone see from Derek Barnett to feel high on him?
I did. Thank you for joining, Rufus, but I cannot be high on Derek Barnett right now. If anything, he's a rotation player at best right now.
I think it depends on what you were looking at. What Derek Barnett was absolutely – he was absolutely overdrafted. Yeah. Again, I mean, you kind of got to get into a little bit with him, like with Maddox. Is that his fault? I mean, it's not his fault he went 14th overall when he should have been a late first-round guy. I mean, he has not lived up to that billing. He's never going to. He doesn't have the athleticism for it. But is he a solid starter? I mean, I think he is. He's not going to be a double-digit sack guy, but, the NFL defensive lines are filled with guys that stick in the league that are just solid players. And I think he's a solid player. I don't think he's a great player. I think you could upgrade on him, but
my issue with him is he makes bonehead play after bonehead play, gets stupid penalties. Like, if I'm looking at a defensive end I'm higher on, I'd rather say Josh Sweat that I'm higher on than say Derek Barnett. Josh Sweat, I know he's got the injury history, but that guy on a team that was really bad last year, I heard Josh Sweat's name a lot, and not in a bad way. Like that's a guy that I am hoping takes another step forward this year.
Yeah, you like you said, Shane, at the start of this podcast, you absolutely have to bring in a starter edge rusher here moving forward because Derek Barnett, he's the king of not getting home. That has been his calling card as an Eagle. I like Josh Sweat, Rob, 100% fact. Injury history, 100% fact. You've got to bring in a starter, whether that's at interior defensive line, an edge rusher. You got to add talent. You got to add youth at that spot.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think that he's your ideal like defensive end one. I think he's appropriately slotted as your second defensive end or your third defensive end in a rotation with Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. Like, I think he's fine in that role. I don't want to pay him big money. He's definitely a bust of a first-round pick, but he's other than the dumb penalties after plays. He's not a negative when he's on the field. He's fine. I mean, that's a low standard, but he's fine.
If we're talking about making a championship run here, he's not good enough. That is the fact. That is 100% fact. Should we wrap it up? I think we should wrap it up. We're literally an hour 19 in. Oh, Justin says, We're at 3.7 subscribers. Woohoo! Thank you guys for watching.
I don't even know what that means.
3.7 thousand. We hit 3.7 thousand.
Okay. That makes more sense.
3.7 people following us now.
I was like, we were over that. That was this podcast that bad. We lost them all.
Yo, Rufus. That means so much. Rufus says, thanks, guys. This channel's quickly becoming my favorite sports channel on YouTube. Dude. That's crazy, man. Thank you. We're going to wrap it up. Everyone, make sure you hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Rob, let's end with plugs. What do you got going on, man? Where can we find you?
You can find me whenever the hell I can get on with you beautiful souls. I want to do a 7-round Eagles mock draft with you. That's the one thing I haven't got to do since coming back. I want to get one of them in before this draft. I can tell you that. And, Sixers playoffs right around the corner, man. We got to start. Big game tomorrow night, Dibes. Big game tomorrow night.
I can't wait, man.
Here. So you can check me out at Philly_Madness. And right here with my guys here, man, at the Painted Lines and Party on Broad.
Sixers Nets is what Rob is referring to. Big statement game. Shane, you're up, man. Where can we find you? Plugs.
You can follow me on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. All my work for the Painted Lines, Eagles all the time. I don't cover anything else. I'm a degenerate that only watches that. So excited to hop on a draft stream, talk to you guys during the draft. So don't watch those fools on ESPN. Come hang out with us. But, Rufus, Matthew, Eagles Underdog, pretty much everybody but Justin that joined the chat. Thanks for dropping in and hanging out. Want to do these again sometime. So look for the posts. We'll send out for questions, and just fun to jump on and hang out with you guys. So thanks for joining.
Amen. And if you guys are looking for Eagles mock drafts, I think we've done 8 of them now. Like we've done them written. We've done scouting profiles at thepaintedlines.com. We've done videos here. I've got another one coming tomorrow, 7-rounder. Rob, we got to get you on, man. That's got to happen 100%. Anyway, I took the L. I took the L to Mark. But you know what happened there was
Wait,
Justin.
You let that happen? You allowed that to happen?
Yeah. You didn't get the cheat. That's what happened.
This is what happened. We did a mock draft where there's no trades. Me and Mark did a mock draft where there's no trades. You let the board play out. And I had Justin Fields and Trey Lance fall to me at 12. I've never, out of all the mocks I've done, literally 5-6 a day, I've never seen that play out before. And of course I can't trade out of that situation. And all the wide receivers.
So take Fields.
No. No Avante Smith. No, everyone was gone. All the corners, all the wide receivers were gone. So that's why I lost. He took Devontae Smith. Everyone wants the playmaker wide receiver. Anyway, if you love the NFL draft, we've had experts, Mark Schofield. We've had experts from 4th and John, Chris Malley. We've broken it down here every single week, multiple times a week. Go check it out. Go to the playlist there. Party on Broad. All the Eagles mocks, all the Eagles draft specials are there. We're going to keep giving you awesome content, and I'm sure we're going to be breaking it down draft night, giving you every single thing. Oh, my gosh. Scouting profiles. We have individualized scouting profiles on, I don't know, how many, Shane?
It's 20.
At least. No, it's way more than that. It's
I kind of ran out of steam when state testing started. I didn't get as many as I wanted but
no, I'm talking about video scouting.
Oh, the videos. Oh, yeah, we got a ton of the videos.
Video. If you have a favorite Eagles draft target, just Google that, YouTube that with the Painted Lines, and you're going to find a quick highlight reel and scouting report on that guy, 100%. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching, for Shane, for Rob, for myself. Stay awesome, guys. Check you next time.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man. Embiid just posted right. Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles!